Pete, we could rehearse that another time. Come on, we're holding the thing up pretty bad here.
No, you have to wait before you start. You can't start.
Relax, Ernie, relax.
It'll be in the minutes.
Not live yet.
Really don't care. It'll be in the minutes.
They named it Zoom.
It's not fast, I'll tell you that. Thanks.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag.
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Matt, are you on? Karen, you're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm here. Let's do a roll
Hey, can I
call,
borrow
because
your-
I can't tell who's there.
Steve, Chuck, everybody's, actually, all the board members are here. Bill, John, Don, Ed, everybody's here. Pete, Garrett, Ed, the two Eds. Can you make sure Matt doesn't have the call-in number? What's the call-in number?
It was emailed to him the other day.
He's saying he can't get on. No call-in number provided by the old timers, whoever the old
I'll
timers
take care of it right now.
Item number 2, public participation.
There.
Any public participation? Hearing none on item number 3. Approval of meeting minutes. The special meeting date is September 10th, 2020.
Make a motion. Sorry?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Good, appreciate it.
Karen, from Don and Bill.
Got it.
Item 4, communication.
Yeah.
Communications assistant to the Wpca report.
Well, that's me.
Turn the volume up.
Yeah, I did it right. Make sure, so Karen can make sure you're talking into a
Microphone?
microphone so Karen can catch you.
Can you hear me, Karen?
Yeah, I
Karen?
do, loud and clear.
Clear, okay. We had, continuing to get, applications,
Thanks, Alex.
for FOG, for new restaurants, right? I visited 3 today, actually, brand new ones, all of which passed. Concentration of most of my time has been, at Infonet still, trying to, upgrade it and making sure that the upgrade, all of the parameters that were in the old system are in the new upgraded system. This is prior to going live on a network-based platform that we will allow us to use multiple users, Ernie and myself, to access Infonet. And that's about it. Any specific questions? I know Ernie's got some things he's going to cover that I prepared. Okay, so that's a bit from the assistant.
4B, superintendent's report.
The monthly report for the water pollution control plant for September 2020. Our average daily flow was 1.9 million gallons per day. Our peak flow. Okay, the report for September 2020. Our average daily flow was 1.9 million gallons per day. Our peak flow was 2.2 million gallons per day. We were in compliance with all our permit limits. Our effluent total nitrogen was 43 pounds per day, under our limit of 106 pounds. The monthly sludge trucked out was 30 dry tons. We had another incident-free month of any accidents, so we're up to 22. Our safety training for the month was sexual harassment. This is required by the city. Our chemical consumables were as normal. We used approximately 2,400 gallons of sodium hypochlorite. So we're done with disinfection for this season. It's completed. No noise complaints. We're up to 97 complaint-free months. No odor complaints at the plant or pump stations. So we're up to 27 complaint-free months. Our grease removal at the pump stations was Upper Route 8, 90 pounds. Lower Route 8, 140. The River Road was 90. Lattice Place, 70. Meadowlark was 80, for a total of 470 pounds. That's 50 pounds over the same period last year. Our preventive maintenance was on schedule as normal. Corrective maintenance was we replaced the VFD for the motor pump number 4. Repaired the transducer at Lattice Place pump station. Repaired a faulty fuel tank sensor for the main plant generator. Repaired the RTU on the blower building. Repaired the RTU on the administrative building. Our work schedule is moving along. All SBRs are currently online. Future work is to replace the RTU unit for the administration MCC room, main control cabinet room, and to keep on top of all equipments and controls with daily checks and repair as needed. Our overtime management was as normal for the month. So, we still have a low flow, and our treatment has been good. That's the report for the month.
Any questions for Ed or Garrett? Did you forget to put that into our package?
Yeah, it's not in the packet.
No.
Ed's and Garrett's report.
I got it. No, you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got Pete's.
Actually, sorry, our administrative aide had them set, they're on the table upstairs. I'll
I'll go get them.
No, don't worry, don't worry about it. Just make sure we get them next month.
Yeah, but they were right on the table by you, I did.
Pete, are you, able to run up?
Yeah,
I'm able to go up, not run.
Does anybody want it?
yeah, we should have
You
it.
guys all want it? Okay. All right. All right, let's move on. Budget worksheet. So, Bill, I guess you want to take over the budget, you want to take this over from Steve?
No, I never said.
Yeah, I thought I heard you say it last month, Bill. Steve did a good job at it. I will say, it's time consuming. He had a good handle on it, he reported back, I mean, he had time, you know. At first, it's kind of hard to read, but once you start understanding, it's a little bit easier to read, but, you know, I'm not gonna tell you, I don't pay attention to it, I do. But, I mean, we pretty much spend, you know, what these guys say, because once a year, typically, we didn't do it this year, obvious reasons, we sit down with Ed, myself, and we ask anybody, the board members, and we go over every line item. So Ed submits a budget, and we go over every line item. Now, maybe I know we didn't do it this year because we were shut down, but last year, we went over it, and we actually said, you know what? I think our budget's pretty much in line. We didn't have a meeting. We talked on the phone, and we didn't really change anything. Or maybe it was the year before. Last year, we raised our rate, right? Was it last year?
No, the year before.
Year before. So last year, we didn't have a meeting because, and I think was Tom still around? I don't remember. But we decided that the budget was still okay. We didn't have to have a meeting. There's some years that we've had meetings, and we would add different costs, or we would take some costs out, and I was always very involved in it. And a couple other board members, every once in a while, different board members would come in and out of the meeting. Steve, was always there. So, it's a really good meeting to understand what these guys need and want. You know, so if we do it again this year, you know, and everybody here, John, everybody here is invited to it, you know. We try to do it, 3 months before you have to put the budget in? March, we usually try to do it around March.
Right, early spring.
February, March,
Yeah. It's a really good meeting. It's interesting because, you know, they've added a lot of, and I think Pete helps them, or Lori helps you guys, right?
Oh, yes.
So Lori puts all the information, and the good thing about it is, she'll send me the Excel, and I can see all the tabs. And so these guys give her the information, and then it reports obviously to one tab that's, you know, a summary tab.
Right.
And it's really good because then these guys put some good detail into why they're asking for more money. And there've been some years where that's crazy. We're not going to give you that kind of money. I don't, you know, but for the most part, we've never really said no to anything. You know, so just keep that in mind. Maybe John, you might want to be the one that helps take over Steve's job. While we're talking about Steve's job, before we move on to the next, and I don't know if we have to put it on the agenda, we need to vote in a co-chairman. Because we don't have one right now. So if I'm not here, we got to vote in a co-chairman. Now, I don't know, Pete's the one that, does that have to be on the agenda? If so, and you guys want to vote somebody in for next month, let's talk about it now, or we can talk about it next month. But I think we can do that. Is anybody want to vote this in, you know, to put it on the agenda? You guys want to think about it for next month? Who you might want to vote for? It might be kind of.
I make a motion, we put it on the agenda
Okay,
now
here we go.
for nominations.
For nominations. So let's make it 4D. 4D. Vote for new chairman. Now, if you think it's
Chairman.
a co-chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in special meetings, you're not supposed to be able to adjust the agenda. For something like that, you're better off doing it next month.
Karen, they're all special meetings from now until next year, because if they're not on our regular agenda, we move this. So you know something? I'm not gonna, I respect your comment, but we're gonna wait 6 months.
Oh, no, you
Because
can
we have to- we
next
had- we-
month's agenda, but it has to be already posted on the agenda. I'm saying.
Karen, please don't interrupt the chairman.
We add stuff to the agenda all the time. Whether it's a special meeting or a regular meeting. So we can't wait until next year, next March, I think.
Michael, just proceed.
I want to explain it to her. We're not gonna wait.
Not now anyways.
Right, we're not gonna wait to have a co-chairman and put it on an agenda.
No, I was just raising the Robert's rules, that's all.
Does anybody ever follow Robert's rules? I'm gonna ask the question. Does anybody, it's on the floor for a vote from Ed to add it to the agenda.
We're adding it to the.
You wanna add it to stop. Do you wanna add it to the agenda? Say yes. If you don't, say no, and then we'll add it to the agenda next month. It doesn't need to be done now. Vote on the floor from Ed.
I'm fine adding it to the agenda.
John, you're fine adding it to the agenda? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you, Karen.
Very good.
4D, does anybody want to make a recommendation?
I nominate Don Ramey for. I respectfully decline, Mr. Chairman.
Who's the next longest tenured, person?
Well,
Eddie.
Ed? Ed, your name's on the floor.
Oh. I'll accept.
All right.
Any other? All in favor of Ed being the co-chairman?
Aye.
All right.
Vote's ordered.
I'm saying that it was made by Mr. Ramia, and who's gonna second it?
Steve Chuckton.
Thank you.
Fussin' O'Neill status report. Matt, you get on yet? He's having problems getting on.
Why, sometimes on the info.
He said,
I was muted.
okay.
It's been a quiet month, but I've been trying to provide support when I've gotten some email questions. But generally just kind of holding tight until we move through this benefit connection fee that we've been talking about.
That's all?
Yep.
Come on, Matt.
No bill this month.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
All right, 5B, connection fees. So let's start the conversation with connection fees. Bill, what's that?
I'd like to start, or whatever. I'd
Okay,
like
go
to
ahead.
stay, I don't care if
Go
I
ahead.
start.
Yep, go ahead.
This is you probably got this as an email, but it's a hard copy. And, the 5 years I've been on the board, never got into this, never got into the details too much until, who needs one? Steve, I'm sorry. Never got into this too much until this year when, the mayor got involved. And I understand, his position 100%, but it's very easy to sit here for 2 minutes and he says his speech, and then we say our speech against it or for it, if you agree with it, and move on. So I said, it's not really fair to the taxpayers. It's not, and I'm a taxpayer, and it's upsetting for me to just vote for something that I don't know what we've been doing. And this is the first issue that I've dealt with individually. And the chairman and myself the chairman asked on both our behalves to meet with the mayor several times in the last 2 months, and it hasn't happened. So if the necessity is not there, I think we should move forward, and I've detailed some of the reasons that we should. The benefit connection charges have been $2,100 since 2007. That in itself should tell you that it's time for a change and a increase. And whether it's a $5 increase or a $2,000 increase, I don't want to just listen to what the mayor asked for or the chairman asked for. The chairman knows a lot more about it probably than the mayor, but I don't know anything about it. So why is it viable? So in the research that I did, I'd like to publicly thank Matt and Ernie for setting this up with me. I met with Ernie and I met with Matt, and I got some information that helped me make up my mind. I just want to share it with you folks before we move forward, whether you vote with me or against me, or not against me, but whether you vote for or against this, that's entirely, if you're informed, that's all I care. So since 2007, we haven't had an increase in the EDUs. I think by going up to $1,000, making it 1,000 rather than 500, is a win-win situation for everybody. People may argue with me, but my side is this, that the developers who are being charged for the EDUs will pass that cost on to the buyer of the unit. So you say, well, instead of hurting the developer, you're hurting the buyer. We're not hurting the buyer because the buyer for the rest of their career in Shelton using the sewer system is going to have an excellent Wpca to refer to. And we've done it for 13 years without any increase, so I think they can't complain too much. If they want to, they can, but I don't think they can. The buyers and the current users, which there are 19,000, according to Matt, 19,048 units, also benefit from the extremely low, reasonable and functioning service charge. If you compare Stratford or Trumbull or anybody else, we're like 1/3 or less than they are. So they get that benefit too. So to pay something up front over 20 years or 13 years, I don't think is outrageous. If we go back, from 40, say, we go back to the value of our system at this point, we went from 40 million to 60 million which is quite, in value, which is quite a large increase. But it must be supported. If you're gonna increase the value of it, that means you spent some money to make it good, so we have to support it by, funding, which is drying up more and more here because everything that we receive is from the state or whatever is taken by the mayor's office, and we end up with a very, very little bit amount of money. And in the 5 years I've been here, this is probably our worst year, income. Mike could verify that more. If the, commission had increased the EDU fee by $238 a year since 2007, we'd be at $3,100 now. And $238 to a developer or to a buyer isn't very much money, but we've let it go for 13 years. So in the 13 years, they benefited because we haven't got any money to spend on our plant or we're short employees. We don't have any money to spend on our sewer system with the television program, and these guys could give you all kinds of information that's not important at this meeting. But I think it's critical that we get the money in, and this is one way. Shelton, and those of you, I've been here 74 years, those of you who have been here the last 5 years see the increase in apartments. We have thousands of apartments in Shelton. And the developers are making, and again, they should. Believe me, this is not against developers. But the developers are making out like bandits because they're putting up these units and it's costing them actually nothing. So I think there's a big problem there, and I think we have to correct that. It's not unreasonable, and in the end, for everyone benefits from the fees that are paid by both the developers and the citizens of the city of Shelton and commercial enterprises as well. That's obvious. I urge my fellow commissioners to vote for the $1,000 increase in the EDU fee after having researched the benefit connection charges and consulting with our consultant, who I think has done an excellent job. If you look at the handout that I gave you, I never really understood much until I researched it, and those of you that understand it, that's great. But if you look at that, the 40 million and currently in 2007, and now 56 million in 2020, that's a $20 million increase, which I mentioned earlier. But if you look at the incidental charges as well, I'm not going to read them to you. You're all able to read that very well. But those are things that haven't been included, as I talked to Matt about. There's a lot of things that are done that we haven't even talked about. So it's actually more than that. The value is more than that based on what's been put in it. And I think if we add all those things up, we're probably $500,000 over that at least. And dealing with the sewer lining, stuff that's not mentioned here. That's $500,000 if you look at the budget and you look at so add up all those incidentals and you're talking multi-millions, and we're asking for a $1,000 increase, which I think is minimal. I'll answer anybody's questions, or Matt is probably better to answer the questions than I am, but I think it's well worth the $1,000 increase at this point.
Matt, before you step in, I want to go around the table. Bill, I know you sent some emails around looking for some information. You got some pretty good answers, I think. Don pretty much hit the nail on the head with the answers on your email. And I think, it's very well detailed. I tried to explain it over the past couple of months since you guys have just started. I know John, I had a long conversation with John the other day trying to explain it. Hopefully everybody understands it. You guys, Bill, let's go to your email. Do you have anything here that you want to talk about or that concerns you with this increase?
Well, it's unfortunate that it took 13 years for the last increase. When was the last increase? 2007.
13 years.
Yeah, 13 years. To make up a lack of increases for 13 years in 1 year, it just maybe a little bit too much at one time. That's why I had no problem with, I guess we mentioned last meeting, $500 this year, and then maybe, I don't know, 2, 3 years from now, go to another $500. Just to, you know, try to make up for the reasons why, for whatever reasons, it was never increased for 13 years. I don't know, I just don't agree with that, but that's my opinion.
John?
I think similar to our other conversation, I totally respect and understand, I think, the need to increase it. I think obviously there's two issues sort of in my mind is, one is the timing of it, just given, you know, everything we're going on with the economic uncertainty right now, and passing it on, like you said, to sort of the end residents. You know, but even more importantly to me is more about finding, you know, some sort of predictability and sustainability to this. Because similar to that point raised, I think the biggest thing that's holding me up is, you know, I understand it's only whatever that comes to, 2.5%, 3%, if you were to say $200 every single year. In my mind, you know, I'd rather have the predictability of saying, hey, we're going to raise it a minor amount every single year, or every couple years, rather than trying to go and get a nearly 50% increase in one shot. Because then, in my mind, it begs the question of, okay, are we going to be coming back for another big increase 5 years from now or 10 years from now, and how do we sort of get that budget predictability into the system to say, hey, we have certain capital projects we need to go invest in. How are we going to sort of forecast that out and budget, you know, accordingly based on, you know, growth and those things. So those were some of the issues that, you know, I've been, you know, kicking around and talked with Mike. I don't know if anyone has any response to that. Or...
Steve?
I agree with Don on 1,000. I mean, it's a mistake going 13 years without it, but, it's over, you know, it's water over the dam now. Look at the last 13 years, but, you know, houses, people that could afford a house, or, you know, whatever housing it is, the $1,000, I don't think it's just a minimal amount. Thing is, I would go with the 1,000 increase now, but not wait another 13 years and increase it, you know, who knows what it's going to be 13 years from now again. In minimal amounts, but maybe wait a few years, you know, before resetting it. In the meantime, I agree with, like I say, I agree with Don on 1,000. Get it over with. Instead of the 500 now, the 500 a few years from now, I just soon go with the 1,000 now, and then, but not wait another 13 years to, you know, have to do this again. Wait a few years, you know, 2, 3 years, say, look at the picture again and see. But the fact that we went 13 years, whose fault is it? We went 13 years without, you know, nobody just seriously considered it or brought it up. But I just assume go with the 1,000, increase it to 1,000 now, and might be a little painful for a little bit for some, not the developers, like you say, you know. But 1,000 when you're buying housing is a very small amount of money compared to the overall price.
Ed?
I'd like to thank Don for the great presentation. We had a public hearing. Not one person showed up to contest this $1,000 raise. Everybody in the city was invited to come and speak their piece. Now, the mayor came and asked us in good faith, because of the pandemic, to hold off on a little bit. Well, I think in good faith, we all did hold off a little bit. And as I see in the papers and everything else, construction is booming in this town. So, like Steve said and everybody else, $1,000 might be a lot of money, but they don't have to get it all back at one time. They can just take their good time and get it back a little at a time. But they'll get it back, the builder or the buyer or whoever else. So I have been and always will be totally in favor of the $1,000 raise. as presented by our administrator, our consultant, and everybody else that put their good time into this project. That's it for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little bit of my take on it. I'll start with, like, when I go to some of these public hearings and I sit down at the public hearing, I have a hard time whether I'm going to discuss the public hearing as a chairman of the WPCA or I want to discuss it as a citizen. The last one they had for the project on Ripton Road behind the church, I'm sitting there waiting. I'm going to go as a citizen. Now, I'm going to break this down into two parts. I'm going to go as a citizen. My wife and I moved up to Shelton 33 years ago from Stanford. And of course, we couldn't afford Stanford. You know, it was expensive. So we went to Stanford. We went to Norwalk. We went up the coast. And of course, you know, everybody knows you bypass Bridgeport. It's, you know, high taxes, Then we looked here in Shelton, Trumbull, and Monroe. And we settled here because we liked the small town feel of Shelton. It was kind of still like I don't want to call it a manufacturing town, but it was a small town. That's why we moved up here. And I'm going to talk just purely for now as a citizen, then I'm going to go into the other piece of it. And I think, in my opinion, and look, I'm, again, a citizen, I think development's gotten out of control, and it has nothing to do with my decision. I have to base my decision, like all of us, on facts. This is a way to help, maybe, and I don't know if I should be saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's a way to maybe curtail some of this development a little bit. That's the citizen side of me. The WPCA chairman side of me says that, yes, we were remiss for 13 years. Now, there's some other dynamics behind it, why it went so long, and it's not necessarily up for discussion right here, but it'd be up for discussion maybe some other time. We have spoken about it, but it just never really came to fruition, and all of a sudden we realized that, you know, we think it's time to raise the fee. The raising of the fee is based on factors they put out the report, and they tell you what it should cost per year for increase in anything you do. The price for concrete, the price for labor for pouring that concrete, and trap rock, and lumber, and all the things that go into this, and they tell you what the factor is over the course of the years. This number wasn't arrived at arbitrarily. You know, Matt did a nice job, and we spoke about, Matt and I, several times about it, how to make sure we get to that number, get a number. We wanted to make sure, and, Matt being an engineer, being very detailed, make sure that we had the right information, that we're not going to be knocked on the head and somebody challenge our information. Right now, you can't challenge our information. It's pure numbers and it's pure facts. Now, the people need to understand that our original $40 million asset, and the plant is an asset, and somebody needs to help us pay for this asset, has grown over the years, and we come up with the $60 million of an increase in an asset. For somebody to say that, well, you know what, you guys lost for 13 years. Well, you know what, maybe we did, but we need to catch up. And my opinion is we need to catch up one time. Now, whether I agree with the $1,000 or the $500, I'm not going to tell you which one I agree with. I'll leave that to everybody else, and we can. But I think we need to catch up. Now, the problem is that, again, we had nobody at the public hearing because the developers' feeling is they're just going to pass this on to the residents, that's how it works, and I feel it's unfortunate that's how it works for these developers. Whether we go, and of course the mayor made a point, and I hear him loud because part of it he's right, is why can't we go up $500? Why can't we go up $1,000? And he's right about the pandemic. I mean, everybody's going to get hurt by the pandemic. Hopefully not too many people in town. so there's a decision to be made as to when is the timing for it. Is the timing now for $1,000, or is it every 5 years, like Bill had mentioned, and we've all talked about it too, is do we go up incrementally every 5 years, or every 3 years? We have to make that determination. I think we would have to have Matt, our engineers, and Virgil kind of help us with that information, and tell us what's our factor going to be to raise it. And now understand that, and it wasn't a big deal actually. I mean, it never is. When we had our public hearing, nobody was here, you know, and that's the way all of our public hearings are. The one thing I love about this board, first of all, it's a non-political board. I mean, we've got a bunch of good guys here that I can talk to anybody, and I don't feel like that they're going to go run to, you know, this guy or that guy, and, you know, I feel that and the most I like about this board, the absolute most is, it's non-political because it's either we can accept your 4.5 million gallon flow or we can't accept it. 10 or so years ago, Ed was actually the only one on the board, Ed and I, 10 or so years ago, we declined Avalon's project. Was that over on, one of Avalon's projects? We said we're not going to do it. Nope, we voted the job down. Well, the next month we were being sued. So you can't, and I tell people all the time, you can't, we have to accept your flow. Now, we're going to put some caveats to that, to accepting the flow, like what the caveats that we talked about a year or two ago with Shelter Ridge. And we're going to make them put in holding tanks, you know.
Sure.
So Tom and I had this big thing. We actually went to a public hearing, and we spoke at the public hearing about it. So, you know, that's my take on raising it one time or raising it for $500 and having you know, having it every 5 years, 7 years, and we have a factor that goes on that. To me, yep, that's a reasonable way to handle it. Do you want to have another public hearing? They're simple. We never, whether any public hearing we've never had anything. Nobody wants to come and talk about sewage, which is fine by me. And that's why I say to everybody, you know what, this is the best commission because it's non-political, and the reason is we have to accept your flow. If our engineer tells us, yep, we have capacity in our 12 sewer shed areas, we got to accept it. The only thing that disappoints me in this whole thing is that 15 years ago I had to go up to P&Z and I had to give a presentation on our plant, and I had done a pretty detailed report. It took me 3 months to put this report together. I went to P&Z, Wetlands, I went to everybody and told them what we are expecting at our plant, from our plant. One of the things they never told me about was this infamous PDD, okay? Well, right now, everybody probably knows, you guys might not, John or Bill, whenever a PDD project comes up, everybody votes for it, which is fine. I will never influence anybody on a vote. You guys have an individual vote. I let you have your own voice. That's what I love about this board. I will vote against all PDDs. And the major reason I vote against PDDs is because 15 years ago, they asked me to put a presentation on what we expected through all their information. And I spent 3 or 4 months on it. I gave a presentation in public upstairs down here. It was a big deal. They really wanted to hear what the Wpca had to say. Well, you might as well take that report and throw it in the garbage because our 12 sewer shed areas are totally changed now. We're telling our engineer now, okay, you know, let's put 15,000 gallons in this sewer shed area. Let's take 25,000 gallons. We're moving it around. It's like a moving target, our sewer shed area. And that's because and I understand P&Z. I get the process. If they have a PDD, they control the project. The problem with them controlling the project is that now, instead of having 15 homes on that piece of property, they're cramming in another 10 homes on the piece of property, and you're getting it's a more condensed project and more flow at 210 gallons per day. Now that all that flow is coming up, we're using up our capacity like there's no tomorrow. And that's why my personal opinion is, again, I'll go as being a homeowner, moving here 33 years ago from Stanford, or being chairman. That side of me says, I don't want any more development here in Shelton, but that's not my decision as a chairman. My decision, I have to base it on, can we accept your flow or we cannot accept your flow? I think we, again, need to slow the building down, but that's not my decision. So if I go back to the WPCA side, I vote against PDDs, hands down, all the time. It's on the record, nope, I voted down, you guys voted up, that's fine with me. Again, I'm not gonna influence or push anybody. So I think the thing might help with the $1,000 is that maybe it will slow things down. I don't know, that's not for me to decide, it's just kind of one of them things in your head. Does $500 help us? It does in the interim. The mayor offered to lend us money, but I prefer not to take the money from the city. I'd prefer to do it on our own. And Matt and I have been talking with Ernie a little bit about, we have this a priority list, and we've done it over the years. And Don, you've been helping put that priority list together, Ed. We put this priority list and how much we want to spend this year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5. And we say it's okay, that priority list, we got to spend $20 million. And Garrett and Ed actually have been helping us put this priority list. Okay, guys, what do you need down in the plant? So if we need that stuff on that priority list and we don't have the $1,000 per EDU, then we're going to have to go to the mayor to ask for them. Me personally, I don't want to ask for the money. I want us to be independent and make this thing work on our own. $1,000 will probably make it work on our own. $500 will help us work on our own. So I'm betwixt and between. I will tell you that right now. If there's any other questions, Bill, you did it. Nice, good comments on your email. Good questions. This is something that it's kind of hard for us to put some of this stuff together. We've never asked Fuss and O'Neill to do it, but Fuss and O'Neill does do our sewer shed areas, and they tell us what we have and what all the projects that are in our sewer shed areas. So some of your other ones are kind of very hard to do. I'm not sure why you're asking for them, but that's not a problem. You ask for them. If we can do it, you're going to get it. But I think Matt gave you a good answer. If you want more answers, let us know. Let Matt know. But that's my say. Does anybody else want to have any other comment? I will do that. Anybody want to make a recommendation?
I recommend that we, put the fee for the EDUs on the agenda
Well, it's on the
for
agenda
action,
for $31.73.
For $31.73.
$3,173
$3,173
per EDU.
per EDU.
Motion on the floor from Ed for $3,173. Anybody want to second it?
Second.
Second. Second by Don. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? John's against. John Pushkar's against. Karen? Bill? Bill Miko's against. Motion carries. Date and time of November's meeting. 6A. Because Veterans Day is on Wednesday, we're going to move to Tuesday.
Correct.
What day is that? 11/10,
The 10th of,
2020 at 4:30, right?
right.
Now, I know, Steve, you're having a hard time with 4:30, but, I have no problem moving it to 5 if we all know that we can try to get out of here in an hour, but we've gone over.
Always going an hour and a half.
Right, we've typically gone an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes, so I would love to move it.
6.
What's that?
Shut the lights at 6 here?
Yep, that's what I'm hearing.
6 o'clock, the building's locked up.
Okay, so I'd love to
9
move.
o'clock's no good because of you. I mean, everybody else would be in favor of 9, but you don't like 9.
Well, because I gotta work 5 days a week, and it's hard for me to, you know.
Yeah, that kind of shots the day a little, when you start 9 o'clock in the morning.
Are you,
4:30's not bad for you, correct?
4:30 works, I can leave early.
Yeah. 9 o'clock it's just,
It didn't work for you either?
well, I don't care, but I'm just saying it's tough, you know, you lose, by the time you get done with it, you lose half of the day at least.
Yeah, I agree.
By the time you get down to wherever you're going.
All right, so we're gonna keep it at 4:30 for now, unless there's something that you can do.
I go 4:30, but, like I say, the best thing was 7 o'clock, but I guess we're gonna have to wait 6 months for that.
So who knows when?
We don't
Sometime
know.
next year.
Maybe longer.
Yeah.
If everyone's good for the Tuesday, the 10th? The 10th. Okay.
Bills, rent, or no bills, Matt? I guess not.
Nope, no bills.
Financial statement? So this is what we've got right now. This is what Steve Morris is really good at. He would kind of give us our information, you know, pass it on and tell us what's going on with expenditures and revenue, and he did a nice job. Maybe, John, if you want to get involved, you want to think about doing something like this, John? I mean, I'm going to start taking it over if nobody wants to do it. I don't have a problem with it.
Been a while since I've taken an accounting class.
Well, I think it's pretty easy counting, you know? So as of 9:30, we have 926,000. And this might be building on our, hey, Matt? Matthew?
Yeah, I keep putting on mute so you don't hear me, breathing here. Go ahead.
Can you, for next month, can you get that priority list finalized with Garrett and Ed?
Yes.
And I don't know
Yeah, I
if
can do
anybody
that.
else got any other ideas for the plant, but typically we let Garrett and Ed tell us what they, along with Matt. So if the three of you guys can get together and put the our priority list together.
Okay. I will do.
Mr. Chairman, we're also, our administration's gonna be working with Matt to get a priority list on the infrastructure.
Okay. Okay.
So the priority list, what we, you know, for next month's meeting would kind of be more generalized, that would say like, these are like the 5-year goals, and then, and I will talk with, the guys at the plant, and then, Ernie and his staff. But the, kind of the details of the annual projects will, those kind of very detailed, process, you know, that takes a little more effort to sit down and identify individual streets and things like that. But we'll have some good numbers for next month.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Anything else for Matt? Anybody got anything for Matt? Hearing none. Ed, do your business.
I make a motion that we close this meeting.
Second.
So moved. 5:22. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, it's okay to kill the camera?
To do what?
Kill the camera? Turn off the camera.
Oh, sure.